guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today I am so excited to be covering Below Deck, Season 8, Episode 13, James's Big Cannoli. You guys, I am loving this season. I can't wait to get into this episode. I got some hot takes. Don't hate me right off the bat, but I'm just going to tell you right now, Francesca's the worst. Yes, I know. Elizabeth completely sucks. James is awful. I'm actually happy to see them going, but I'm also happy to see that Francesca, the people are starting to notice how bad she is at her job as well, because you guys, I see it. I see her core, and she's terrible. She's a terrible manager, terrible leader. Yeah, so we're going to get into all of that, and believe me, I'm not sticking up for Elizabeth. I'm going to talk crap about her too. You know how I do. All right, let's get into it. Hey guys, I just want to take a second and say if you're enjoying this show, please check out my Patreon. Go to patreon.com, search Real Housewives Recaps, or check the comments below and I'll put a link. And for $1 a week, you can support my show and get 4 bonus episodes per month. I'm covering Scary Island, like the greatest season of Real Housewives in New York. So check it out. Thanks so much. Okay, let's get this right out of the way. I think James sucks so bad, and you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say I think Rob sucks too. There was a time where I didn't think they were so bad, but what I saw go down with Izzy, screw them. I want them all off the boat. Izzy is my hero. I actually was surprised. I had a couple of comments saying some of you guys didn't like Izzy. Some of you guys felt the way I did, where you love Izzy. I get it. Not for everybody maybe, but I dig her personality. But back to this twat. I don't know. So James is like sitting in the crew mess and talking about all the Instagram girls. Producers ask him about it, and he says that she didn't stick up for him with Rachel, and that hurt him. He's loyal. He's Mr. Loyal with cheese. That's what he says. I would say just the cheese. But I just think he's gross. I think he's looking for a reason to push Elizabeth away, except for when he wants to get down and dirty. So he's doing that thing where he's mean and distant, and he hopes that she'll back off of him. But then again, when it's time to get hippity-dippity on, he's right back on her. Ugh, he's disgusting. Okay. Captain talked to Rachel about how she's feeling. She's still struggling with the bloat and the tummy issues. We get a new level of disgusting from Rachel. I'm not going to go into the vivid imagery that she paints about her tummy issues, but it's pretty gross. Let's see. Francesca asks Aisling if she wants to see the doctor. She says, nah, I'm going to power through this thing. Of course, Francesca eats it up, finds a way to compliment herself, and is like, you're exactly like me. I'm not sick until I'm on my deathbed. You just need to ride it out. Nope, bad call. So the doctor's talking to Elizabeth about what's going on with her UTI and asks if Elizabeth is sexually active. Flashback to her and James having fun in the bunk, and Elizabeth says, maybe. The doctor's like, maybe. Okay, so then the doctor checks out Rachel. It's gastroenteritis. She needs IV therapy. She asks if she can go tomorrow because today she's cooking for the guests. They drop the guests off tomorrow. The doctor's like, yeah, no problem. So, let's see. Justin, the charter guest, totally has a thing for Aisling, and they kind of giggle with each other, and it's, it's cool. So Francesca goes to talk to Lee. She tells him about the gastro thing and needing fluids. Nothing really happens there. Just a lot of quick scenes, like the deck crew putting away toys. The dog poops on the deck. Rob has to clean it up. We find out Rob has this cute dog that he met while eating a falafel. He tells this insane story where she came out and waved at him. I'm thinking he was on something because, yeah. I didn't mind Rob until this episode, but seeing the boys club he's made with James and seeing what's coming as far as him disrespecting Izzy, I'm not here for it. So, kick rocks, Rob. Okay. So, Elizabeth and Aisling are in the crew mess eating. James comes down. Elizabeth is cleaning up after herself. She tells James that she hasn't been feeling good at all. And he's like, oh, shit. Like he didn't know. They already told him that she didn't feel good. Then he says, good thing you're not working late. Someone's covering for you? And it was the weirdest. I don't know what was happening there. She says later that he was basically asking Aisling to work late so he could be with her, and that's probably what was happening. I didn't know if he was trying to, like, look, babe, I'm looking out for you. See, I'm trying to get somebody to cover your lates. She was confused. I was confused. He's gross. Let's see. He says he was going to start some beef with Aisling, and it was just so weird. Elizabeth says she's confused. She walks away and says, F that. I'm not somebody who gets played. I don't like games. If that's how he rolls, I'm over it. I'm thinking, no, you seem pretty into it. You're into the games because it's working. Let's see. Rachel and Fran are talking in the crew mess about Captain joining for dinner. So Rachel's still dealing with tummy stuff. She's going to make crab and this pasta dish. It looked delicious. He says he's pretty easy about it. We see this weird flash of James in his room farting so loudly 3 times. It was just, usually I wouldn't bring that up, but it was so loud and obnoxious. It just, I don't know, it was gross. Okay. Eddie talks to Captain about how good Izzy is, and he says it's great to hear. Then he says she's not a cream puff. What? He says that Eddie decides he wants to make her lead deckhand. Captain says he's fine with it. She's been busting her butt. I think that's fantastic. Elizabeth goes to talk to Aisling. Elizabeth says, hey, can I ask you something? If there's like a thing with you and James, it's so strange. So she's feeling threatened. She thinks that James is hitting on Aisling. Aisling's like, this is a weird conversation. What are you talking about? I think Aisling is kind of above it all. She's just there to get her work done. Even when the charter guest was flirting with her, she's like, I live in Australia. What am I supposed to do? Okay, so Elizabeth and James are in the kitchen. She says she can't do the whole not knowing if you're trying to get Aisling or trying to be flirty and you're not even acknowledging me anymore. He says, it's his personality, babe. So gross. She says it's strange how he flirts with Aisling and then asks her to go on lates. He says to camera, it's a joke. It's my personality. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Let's talk about it. He talks about having weight issues when he was younger, as most of us have had. But it seems to be that now that he's more fit and feeling better about himself, he's just a douche. He grosses me out so bad. All right, I'm moving on. So Eddie talks to Izzy about becoming lead. She says she's happy, but she is worried about the other guys listening to her. And she says it's nice that Eddie believes in her. And are Rob and James going to support me, or are they going to act like dicks? Spoiler alert, they act like dicks. So the guests are seated at the table. Rachel's still having terrible tummy problems, so she says simple food so she could go to the bathroom lots. Ugh, that's not what you want to hear when the chef is serving dinner. But it looks delicious. It's homemade pasta with some pesto, some crab, some lemon pistachio oil. Everybody goes crazy. They love it. Ugh, sounds so good. My mouth is watering. James is asking Aisling about her history with boats. Elizabeth comes in and catches them laughing, and she's not happy about it. She goes back up to Rachel and says they're always together. And Rachel's like, hello, I told you so. To which I say, Rachel's right. Rachel says she's going to punch someone. I can't tell if she's talking about James or Elizabeth in the face, but I'm good with either one of those choices. Aisling's not feeling good. She's going to go to bed. Elizabeth is, okay, so there's cannolis, right? Elizabeth is delivering them. She says loudly, I want that cream in my mouth. Okay. You know what you're saying, right? Is she that dumb? I don't know. Maybe both. So like an idiot, she finds out that James has never had a cannoli. Like an idiot, she pages him on the radio and tells her to meet him in the main salon, delivers him a cannoli. And as soon as she pages him, everybody knows they're just kind of effing off and hanging out. Francesca comes down the stairs and says, "What are you up to?" And Elizabeth's like, "Ha ha ha, talking." And Francesca's like, "Well, I'm slaving away up here." Okay, so let me make this clear. This is not why I don't like Francesca. I think Francesca is spot on. It's not fair. She's working her A off. She's doing dinner service. Elizabeth is an idiot, gets on the radio, lets everybody know she's slacking off. I get it. I'd be pissed too. Where Francesca bugs me is she has to go to Eddie every time about Elizabeth and James. I didn't like that. I didn't like her communication style. I really didn't like that scene later, and we'll get into that, where she's like dropping the ball on breakfast service. Looks like she does it again next week. She doesn't know whose dish is whose. And the thing is, I feel like she's got such an ego about her. She needs to deliver the food, but she cocks it up along the way. Whereas think about Kate. Kate would have her stews like deliver the food too, because who cares? It's all about the tip. Just get the food out there. I just don't understand. You can actually see a scene where the Aisling is setting down trays right here at this bar that Francesca's picking up, so that way she can be the hero to deliver it, and she cocks it up. So that's my annoyance with Francesca, one of about 1,000. Okay. So it's the final day of charter, and what I really thought was going to happen is Elizabeth had to stay up and clean up after everything the night before. And I thought she was going to mess that up, and Francesca would wake up, and there'd be a whole blow up about something she forgot to do. Nope, that's not what happened. So Aisling's not feeling good. She and Rachel are still having issues. Eddie goes in to be with the captain. He talks about the docking. Justin's still talking about Aisling. Francesca is petting the dog. Rachel's paging her to get breakfast. This is where it all goes to hell. Aisling's on it. She gets the breakfast, sets it down so that way Francesca can deliver it. Again, that ego drives me crazy. Rachel's super pissed. I get it. I understand that people are pissed at Rachel this season, but she's an excellent chef. And I get it. She puts all this work into the food. She's not feeling good. She wants it to go where it's supposed to go, and it's not being delivered. So she's frustrated. The captain even gets in on the action. He says some choice words because he can hear on the radio that Francesca has cocked this up and didn't get the right dishes to the right people and all this stuff. The guests are talking about coronavirus and tipping America into a recession. And they made sure to show us this conversation where they're saying, why does that have to happen? Like, what would it have to do with the economy? And meanwhile, as I'm typing this, I'm banging my head against the wall. It's awful. We know this. I don't want to go into it. I'm just saying, like, it made me hate these guests. Okay. Elizabeth comes down, asks where to start. For whatever reason, this is another reason I can't stand Francesca. This pisses Francesca off that she asks. She talks like a condescending whatever to her and says, "What do you think would be a good idea?" Okay, I'd like to point out that not like 3 episodes ago, remember Elizabeth tried to take initiative, just get straight into work, and Francesca chewed her out for not coming to meet with her first. But now, when Elizabeth tries to do what Francesca said and meet with her first, she acts like it's she treats her like crap. So Elizabeth calls it. She says, "I can't win." But again, I'm not sticking up for Elizabeth. I think she's terrible and she needs to be fired. She probably should have been fired when she made mustard gas. But I'm just showing you that I can see through Francesca. I think I'm extra sensitive to it because I've worked for people like Francesca. And there's no pleasing them. They want to be the center of the universe. And if anything goes wrong, it's your fault, not theirs. And she's a shitty communicator. And surprisingly, Rachel can see through it. But I think Captain's starting to see it too. So we'll see how this goes. Okay. So they're pulling in. Nothing really happens. It seems like it's a smooth docking. They park the boat. They get the guests off. The guests seem super happy with everything. It's, cool. It seemed like a pretty low maintenance charter. I have my own thoughts on that little dog, but that's Yeah, I'll save that. They thank them for a great trip. They say it's amazing. They hand him a big wad of cash. We'll see what goes down there. We see Rachel walking around with a tray on her head. I'd mentioned before that I'd heard that she was on America's Next Top Model. Apparently she was on season 3. Tyra told her she wasn't serious about it, and Rachel told Tyra that she likes snacks. I thought that was actually a really funny line. So then it's time for the tip meeting. So they say it was a good charter, lots of fun. Captain says that he's proud of the whole crew and he's happy because none of them missed a beat. So we find out that they made $17,000 total, which translates to $1,400 apiece. Kind of low on the tip, I thought. Like, they were on it. These guests seemed to really love the food and the service, and they seemed really happy. And, you know, the staff was taking care of not only them, but the little dog, and they raved about the food. And I'm just thinking, like, and then they're talking about this, I don't understand how it affects the economy. Like, they're, you know, high and mighty, but yet they gave a shitty tip. I just, it was weird. Izzy even points out that usually they get tips in the 2,000 range. So Captain then talks about that as a surprise, they're going to go clean up this beach. All right, you guys, don't hate me. I'm all for cleaning up a beach. I get it. It's a good idea. I'm with James on this one. Sorry. Don't hate me. Don't cancel me. No, seriously. You know, I tell the truth. This is how I feel. I'm with James. James is like, I don't want to go clean up a beach. I want to drink. I want to eat food. I want to relax. I kind of feel the same way. I'm all for cleaning up the beach. But I think there's a place and time. And what I mean by that is they've just come off literally, the charter guests just leave, right? And then they go do this. That's not what you want to do. You want to clean the boat, and then you want to have a night out, have some cocktails, have some sex, whatever it is. Not go clean up a beach. So, again, if they had had a day off or something, and then, like, they all got to sleep in, and then they're like, hey, let's go clean up a beach, that's fantastic. Yes, do that. That's great. That's not what happened. So, for this one case, I actually agree with James. He said he feels like they were sentenced to do community service. Okay, so Rachel got her IV, and they get back on the boat, and everyone's hungry. Oh, and then we see a text to Elizabeth, and she has saved James in her phone. I don't know if you noticed. She saved his name as Eggplant Parm. And actually, it may say Eggplant Parm emoji, but you get the idea. He says, you up? Want to meet in guest cabin. Okay. So he walks in, and you hear him say, I'm a naughty boy, and closes the door, and then you hear sex sounds. All right. Next morning, Elizabeth's climbing into her bed. James is climbing into his. Izzy sees it, makes a face. Eddie tells the guys that today is Izzy's first day as lead deckhand. If shit goes wrong, it's on her, and he'll be sitting in the wheelhouse with Captain Lee. I thought that was actually pretty fun. Okay, let's talk about the other stuff that goes down in this episode. So James is washing windows. Izzy says, is that what you were doing to Liz last night in the guest cabin? And he says something like that. Okay. So in the previews, they show Francesca leaning down and listening. So it makes it seem like she overhears that they're giving James a hard time about banging Elizabeth in the guest bedroom. That's not what happens. We see that Aisling is there when they're talking about this. Izzy's talking pretty openly to James about it, giving him a hard time. Aisling hears it. She goes back to Fran. Fran says, what's happening? And Aisling says, James didn't sleep in his cabin, and neither did Elizabeth. Francesca is very excited by this because she knows it's what's going to finally do Elizabeth in. She says, my God, you have to be joking. She slept in the guest bed? So apparently she didn't overhear it. That was the editing. This is the scene we saw where it sounded like she overheard. She didn't. So what do we think about this? I thought it was actually kind of shitty. I like Aisling. She's probably Izzy's probably my favorite, but she's my second favorite. I just didn't love that she ran and told Francesca. Now, I understand this is different than the Hannah thing with the narc and the, Hannah needed that medication. Yeah, we're not going to go through all that. But I had similar vibes. Like, you're running and telling the boss, really, who already hates Elizabeth. Elizabeth, she sucks. I get it. I'm not I sound like I'm standing up for her. I'm really not. I'm just saying, I just didn't love that. I didn't think that was necessary. She would have found out eventually. I didn't think Ashley needed to be the one to run and tell her, but whatever. James and Elizabeth suck. It's fine. They need to go probably. So, okay. So then Izzy is telling James about which area to work on, and he keeps questioning her. And Rob is piping up saying it's a democracy run by a dictator. Well, hello, welcome to work. You're always going to be told what to do no matter what your position is. She's telling him how to do it and how to, get this done. And they keep questioning her. And she says, stop. We're going to have a plan. And they say, why do you have your hands on your hips? Like you have any authority to you. I'm guessing that was a joke, but it just came across dickish. I just didn't like this at all. So they have a preference sheet meeting. They're getting ready for Charter 7. It's Jackie and David Siegel, the Queen of Versailles. This crazy bitch right here. So we saw her a couple seasons ago. I have seen her documentary more times than I should probably admit, but I'm obsessed. I'm fascinated. This wacky woman and her, I don't know. There's something wrong with this lady. Like, she can't even have a conversation. I don't know what's happening. It seems awful. He seems awful. We'll see how this goes. But they request things like jalapeno pickled quail's eggs. So, okay. But yet David wants simple food like cheese pizza, some pasta, and cheeseburger. So, I'm sure this is going to be a nightmare. So, meeting ends, and Francesca tells Eddie about Elizabeth and James. So, this is again, she's running to tell Eddie. So the crew's having dinner. Francesca goes and talks to Elizabeth and says in front of the others that she's been hearing stuff. Did you sleep in a guest cabin? Now, this is where Elizabeth sucks because she gives these half answers like, we went in the cabin. It wasn't made up. If they just shut up about it and just denied it, like it wouldn't have come to this. And again, Francesca's like, did you sleep in the guest cabin? Yes or no? And finally, Elizabeth says, yes. She said, I wanted to keep things professional. And Francesca says, you're not being professional. Far from professional. I've had enough of you. And that's how the episode ends. So then we see a flash to next time. It's Charter 7. It's the Queen of Versailles. I hate that they call her that. I know she gets off on that. It's so weird. All right. Francesca tells Rachel that they need one more mahi-mahi, and Rachel is like, Francesca, you suck. So again, I'm glad Rachel is able to see that Francesca sucks. It sounds like we're going to be seeing that Francesca sucks. I'm here for it. I can't wait. Ooh, and then we see Rob and James talking down to Izzy. I really hope she puts them in their place. It's just crap. They're just saying some crap to her, and I really want to see if they're joking, if it's editing or what. But regardless, there's no place for that. They wouldn't talk to Eddie like that. Oh, gosh. We see that the captain's upset. Remember, Jackie lost a daughter. I believe she said due to drugs, and that's unfortunately what Captain lost his son about. So he's upset at dinner, has to excuse himself. Then we see Francesca and Aisling talk about handling things, if they were to get rid of Elizabeth and how that would go down. Then it sounds like the captain is telling Elizabeth and James to pack their stuff and to leave. So I'm okay with that. I'm curious to see if they bring in a new stew. I know it's toward the end of the season, but we'll see what happens there. So we'll see what goes down. So such a good episode. Really enjoyed this one. A lot of stuff going down, a lot of stuff happening. Really curious about your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Are you enjoying the season? What did you think about everything? Just let me know. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a fantastic week and stay healthy, stay safe, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Thank you guys for everything. I really appreciate it. Take care. Bye-bye.